Hey guys, it's Jordan, and it's time for us to step into the magic. Hey guys, today I'm going to be dispelling 5 of the most common Disneyland vacation myths. I hear them all the time, and they're not true, so I want to set the record straight. The first myth I hear all the time is that dining in Disneyland is just way too expensive. Well, that would depend on where you go. Yeah, I guess if you ate at the Blue Bayou and the Carthy Circle for every meal, it's gonna get really expensive. But really, realistically, if you just stuck with the smaller quick service locations and maybe just get like a corn dog or a hot dog or a burger or something, you're only gonna be spending anywhere between $4 and $15 a meal, and that's not that bad. And not to mention, if you leave the park every time that you wanna go get something to eat, then you have to take your whole family outside the park, cross the street, get the food, then come back across the street, go back through security, get back into the park. You're saving a lot of time if you just stay in the parks. The next most common myth that I hear a lot is that annual passes to Disneyland are just not worth the money. That's actually very, very far from the truth. If you even go to Disneyland at least 2 times a year, then there's some sort of annual pass out there that's gonna save you a lot of money in the long run. And the more often you go in a year, then even the more expensive annual pass options are still gonna save you a lot of money. Besides the fact that you only have to buy your tickets once in a year and they're good the whole year, annual passes get a lot of discounts on food and merchandise all over the resort. Disneyland, California Adventure, Downtown Disney, the hotels a lot, so it's actually really worth your money. I promise you. I've been doing it for a couple of years. Saved us a lot. This next one just gets me because I don't really know where people are getting it. Where I hear people say that the Disneyland Resort and the Walt Disney World Resort are the same thing. And so why bother going to each one separately? I hope some of you are laughing out there because you know nothing is gonna be farther from the truth. Although Walt Disney World and Disneyland have a lot of the same rides, there's quite a few of the classics that are actually shorter in Florida than they are in California. For example, It's a Small World. Pirates of the Caribbean cuts out most of the cave part at the very beginning of the ride and doesn't have like any drops. There's a half a drop. That's not the same thing. And also, the Enchanted Tiki Room cuts out at least half the show. There are some rides that they're not really shorter between the two parks, but they are very different, even though they're kind of the same thing. Especially the Haunted Mansion, the California and the Florida versions, they have different rooms, they have different special effects. And lastly, the 2 resorts actually have rides that are separate from each other. Yeah, Disneyland only has 2 parks, but they still have rides that Walt Disney World doesn't have, like Indiana Jones, Alice in Wonderland, Roger Rabbit Cartoon Spin. Long story short, California and Florida do not have the same Disney parks. I think everyone's heard people say this one a lot, that Disneyland is just for kids and families. And so when their family gets older, they say, hey, there's no reason to go now because all their kids are grown up. I don't even know exactly where to start with this one. Disneyland is for everybody. Anyone who's even a kid at heart. All that really changes when you no longer have little kids with you is that you do different things. You don't spend as much time in Fantasyland anymore, and you get to go on the other rides more frequently. Or maybe you get to actually take some time going to the nicer restaurants and having a really cool dinner with just you and your significant other. We go a lot, and usually it's just adults. But when I go with my nieces and nephews, I still have just as much fun, I just don't do the same things. The number 1 myth I hear from everybody is that you can get the most done at Disneyland at night. Ideally like after the fireworks and the parade, and you just stay until closing time. Usually those people say arrive at Disneyland whenever you want and then just stick around until closing time, and those last couple of hours are when you're going to get the most done. Lies! It doesn't work. I have tried it. The last time that we tried to do that, the fireworks got done about 9:45 and we wanted to go ride the Jungle Cruise. So we were on Main Street, we wanted to go to the Jungle Cruise. Not that far apart. We didn't get into the Jungle Cruise line until after 10 o'clock. It took us at least 15 minutes just to get through the crowds. There were so many people, it took most of our time. And yeah, during that hour and a half that we stayed after the fireworks, we got in Pirates, Haunted Mansion, and a couple other things, but then we wanted to go across and do Star Tours as well. It took us 5 minutes longer than usual because the second parade of the night was going on, and we had to wait for that to go past before we could cross Main Street and get into Tomorrowland. It just took so much time to get everywhere that even though some of the lines were shorter, not all of them, just some of them, we didn't get as much done as we normally do in the morning. That is actually the best time to go. There was one time where we went for extra magic hours at 7 a.m. at Disneyland, and we got everything done in Fantasyland except for Peter Pan. Because for some reason, Peter Pan always has a 45-minute line, even when the park's only been open for 5 minutes. I don't get that one. I'm talking Snow White, Mr. Toad, Pinocchio, The Carousel, Mad Tea Party, Alice in Wonderland, even the Matterhorn. And then right after the park opened to the public, we did Small World and Storybook Land. There was one morning where we started in California Adventure, and then about 8:30, we made our way into Disneyland. We ate breakfast, and it took about a half an hour with that one. We walked on to Indiana Jones, Thunder Mountain, Pirates of the Caribbean, the Haunted Mansion, then went over and rode the Autopia, and then did about 20-30 minutes worth of shopping. When we finally left the park that day, it was only 10:30. That was like an hour of attractions. Don't count the eating and the shopping. We got more done in that hour than we did in an hour and a half late at night. Mornings are the absolute best time. For some reason, crowds don't really show up in Disneyland until about 11 o'clock. So take advantage of that. Be there early and leave a little bit earlier. I will say it again. Mornings work better than the evenings. I promise you. Now that those are out of the way, go ahead, leave us a comment. Let us know what else you want to know about. What's gonna help you make the most of your next Disney vacations. Okay, that's it for now. Until next time, make sure you like and subscribe. And for more tips just like these ones, you can check us out at DisneylandForever.com.